We're now coming to the random other things. We've got a random selection of odds and sods.
This is a sit pad. It's also an ever new product.
Got
Folds
it
up.
from Pack Gear Go in Richmond.
Very lightweight. Just made life a lot more comfortable if you are
Sitting on a rock.
Sitting on a rock or a wet patch of grass or whatever.
Yeah.
The other time it's really useful is getting in and out of the tent, putting things on to keep it dry if it's wet, kneeling on to do cooking, all sorts of things.
It weighs nothing. That was good, eh?
Made just one of those little optional extras that makes life a lot nicer.
You want to talk about the silver bullet? I reckon I don't think I could have completed a TA without these. Ergonomically designed. See that? So these are called Paciples, and just you can put so much downward pressure on them because of the handle. Most poles don't have that shape though, because you're sort of holding on to them like that with the strap going around, so that stops your hand sliding down. These are brilliant, and we've had them for a number of years, and they took a hammering on Te Araroa, and we didn't break them, and I sat on them. One of these broke off on Mount Rintle, that the titanium tip came out. So at Rintle Hut, we had internet there was mobile data coverage, and I ordered it online, and they arrived from the UK, and we put them on, and we kept going, no dramas at all. It took a week or so to arrive. Carbon fibre, really strong.
Very easily adjustable.
Very light.
So we adjust them shorter for going uphill, longer for going downhill. No
one else had pacer poles we saw on Te Araroa, and I think they leave all other poles for dead. So you go to pacerpoles.co.uk or uk.com, pacerpoles.com. They're made in the Lakes District in the United Kingdom by a physiotherapist, and you've had yours since 2014, and
same pair.
They're great.
I haven't worn anything out other than the soft tips.
I think you've bent your tips though, but can't recommend them enough. We found them brilliant. Really good. Saved me. I just saved my knees.
Some Sea to Summit dry light towels, which are the lightest. I think they're the lightest ones you can get. You can get smaller ones, but you want a little bit of size. Medium, that size is medium. The other thing we did towel wise was I got the smallest size of Sea to Summit microfiber towel and chopped it in half, and we each had a little, like a washcloth. And the other thing that we used the towels for was wiping the condensation on the tent.
So we're talking about washing. We'll get to the toilet system later, but one of the things I took was a couple of these. These are holy hiker. See that? Oh, see the holes there in the arrow? It goes into a drink bottle, and you squeeze it, and you get a shower coming out. It's a holy hiker bidet, and I'll talk about that later. But I had one that I only use for washing with, not as a bidet, and I put it in my drink bottle. So if you're aware there was no creek and you really wanted to have a good wash, I'd fill up the 1 litre bottle of water and I could have a good shower, because I think hygiene and keeping acid away from certain parts of the body was really important. So that worked really well, using a bidet as a shower.
Do you want to talk about it as as a bidet as
well? The other thing is I didn't take any toilet paper. My kids are all grossed out about that. I didn't take any toilet paper. I took a holy hiker bidet and this 300ml drink bottle, and so when you had to do, when it's more serious than that, and you had to go to the loo, I'd fill it up with water, and it says in the instructions, put your thumb behind the direction of the arrow, and then you just wash yourself with this. I did not need toilet paper, and I'm never going back to toilet paper. We'll get a bidet at the house. This is just so much better than toilet paper.
And the other part of that system, bidet or not, is the poop kit, which is a little shovel where you dig yourself a hole.
For if you're wild camping, you have to dig a cat hole.
Or if you're caught out And you need to dig it.
And I've forgotten the name of this. I got the bidet, and this we got it from Pat Gear Go in Richmond. The beauty of this one, it's got that little bit of plastic so you don't cut yourself or hurt yourself. Because sometimes you've got to dig through the roots. Got a few serrations. You're digging through the roots because you're making a hole to go to the loo, and that weighs nothing as well. The only thing is you don't bend it that way. Make sure you always bend it the right way. You could damage it. But no, it worked a treat. Yeah.
I use toilet paper. I didn't use bidet. But I didn't use toilet paper for number ones. So women out there may or may not know about a cloth called, I think in the US they're called cooler cloths. So it's basically just a reusable wiping cloth. This one is made by Kiwi Ultralight and Nelson Company. Used it every day, multiple times. Just rinse it out at the end of the day.
Too much information.
Rinse it out at the end of the day and wash it when you can.
Yeah, so that worked a treat for you.
Okay.
I'll talk about electronic stuff. I'm a bit of I do like electronic stuff. We probably ended up having too much power with us, electricity. We started off with one of these each. That's 10,000 milliamps. Is that what you call it? One of these each. That's the night core, the go-to for through hikers. So that was enough power to charge the phone a couple of times. And Vivian used her phone all the time. We used for the app, for TA apps and Far Out. I didn't use my phone. I kept it solely for editing. And sometimes I'd turn it on if I wanted to know where we are, but we relied on Vivian's phone. And having one of these each would last us probably 3 nights. But when we got to the Richmond Ranger sections and whatnot, we thought we needed a bit more power when it was going to be 5-6 nights. So we got another 20,000 milliamp hours between us. And to be honest, we didn't probably need that much extra. But for the whole of the South Island, you actually carried that and I carried these.
Reasonably
we
heavy.
had plenty of power. For my action camera, which is a DJI Action 5 Pro, the kit I got, it came with 3 batteries. And in the North Island, I only used 1 battery. But in the South Island, I took all 3. So I never had problem. I'd get more than a day from 1 battery, but would recharge one, so I didn't have to swap it out halfway through the day. So one of those would last a day, no worries. What other electronic gear? I took some headphones. Instead of using earbud thingy bobs for editing, I'd just plug this into my phone and the headphones, and I could edit the video every night, which I was slow at doing. It took me longer than other people to do editing. What else?
We didn't. A lot of people listen to music or podcasts or books or whatever. We actually, neither of us listen to anything.
Yeah. I live in my head too much. I don't like it. We didn't use earphones for listening to stuff. All the videos I backed up onto this SSD card thing, not a card, an SSD memory stick thing that could fit them all, so I didn't lose them, if that makes sense. So that was a bit extra I carried, and then I had 3 SD cards to go in the camera, micro SD cards to go in the camera, and I would use one then another. So I've actually backed up all the originals, because when we got into somewhere where someone had a computer I could borrow, I could go from here onto here, and then eventually when we got halfway down, because we live at St Arnaud, I could put these all onto my NAS box. So everything's all backed up. I haven't lost any originals. Will I ever use them? No, I won't. I don't think. I've made the videos. That's enough work doing all that editing. On the issue of editing the videos, if you want to know how to do it, look up Freedom on the Trail. Kurt has got a really good video on how he did it, and I copied what Kurt did. I don't have an Apple phone. I've got an Android, but I use the same software, LumaFusion, paid for it, and it worked fine. I think the Apple version is probably better than the Android, because mine slowly got chunky. I'd delete it, reinstall the software, and it'd be away again. But it was fine. What other electronic stuff did we take?
You would have, if you've been following the videos, you would have seen this attached to my shoulder.
Yeah, to you.
This side.
Yeah.
My pack, all day, every day, because that's our safety device. It's a Garmin InReach Mini 2.
Yeah. And we registered ours not through Garmin, but through a New Zealand company, and I can't tell you the name off the top of my head, but you can find them on the internet, because that would be quicker instead of it going through Garmin before they get to land sale and whatnot in New Zealand. It went straight through their company, and we found them great to deal with as well. You pay a registration per month to keep it, but it was worth it.
Fortunately, we never had to use the
SOS
button, but we did use it to plot. So
not the SOS, but we used the Garmin.
We used the Garmin to plot where we were, so various people, family members,
they knew where we were.
Could follow it, could track us as so it tracked us every day, and we also used it for a few times, not heaps and heaps, for the weather forecast.
Yeah, you get a really accurate satellite forecast, and we also messaged family on a few occasions when we thought, hold it, they're meant to pick us up from XYZ. We'll just talk to them. Well, we don't have phone. When you need satellite coverage, you can send a satellite message.
There is debate about whether you should have both a PLB, a personal locator beacon, and a Garmin, whether you should have one each. You know, if one of us fell down the cliff and the other one doesn't have the Garmin, you're in trouble. Yeah. But we decided to just go with one. That's personal choice.
Yeah, and it worked. It seemed to work. It worked for us, but we were fortunate. So this is another bit of electronic stuff. This is a flexi tail 1.2 ounce pump for pumping up an airbag. And that didn't take long. I'd pump up my airbag, then I'd plug in Vivian's, I'd pump her one up, and that was just saved breathing or using those big sacks that they use for pumping up. It worked well for us. There was no problem, no dramas. What other junk did we take?
We had this
Where's your torch?
little dewdrop temperature gauge, which was a optional extra. Don't rely on it. It didn't rely on it actually as being accurate, especially on high temperatures. It seemed to be, if it was lying in the sun, it would register 42 degrees or something, and it was clearly wrong. But it was interesting on the colder mornings to see how cool it was. But so, that wasn't really...
I kept all my electronic stuff in this Ultrasil dry bag, and it never punctured. It still works fine. So that kept everything safe. Although I didn't keep this in there, I kept it in a different little bag, a little ditty bag. So these are old headlamps that we've had for years. I used this one. It weighs a ton, but it did the job.
And my one became unreliable partway through, so
I ordered another one.
Nightcore fancy
classic thing. It's not the flashiest one,
but it's very lightweight.
Weighs nothing,
and it's also rechargeable, so therefore it doesn't rely on batteries. It can be recharged.
I'd seen on YouTube they've re-released the classic and improved it, and I like it. It's the 20, I think it is. So it's the classic one, not the latest flashiest one. We did try and go lightweight, so I had credit cards and my fishing game card and a FBOS card and another card. What was that? I don't know, maybe a TA card, I don't know. But we had cards in there. We didn't take wallets. Vivian had cash. I had no cash. I relied on her for cash.
There was times when you needed cash.
And we only took, I think, 3 USB cables, 1 for her and 2 for me. And so we were minimalistic. We were really lightweight, didn't take extra stuff. We tried to be quite careful.
Wall charger we had as well.
Oh, we had a wall charger. And I got a light one, but it wasn't quite fast enough. So we ended up in, I think, Wellington buying a higher wattage wall charger so that it could charge up gear quicker when if you want to do it quickly. But that weighed a bit more.
Because you've got multiple devices that you're trying to charge.
Yeah.
And things.
One thing we didn't talk about with the clothing, I got these Archie jandals. They weigh nothing, and when I first put them on, I thought, oh, they're a bit tight, but these are super comfortable, and I won't wear my old jandals anymore. I'll just wear these Archies. Super lightweight, but what do you call it? They're supporting for the Archies. Support. Made in Australia, and we won't hold that against them.
Our first aid kit was that size, and didn't use a lot of stuff that was in it, but you just never know what you're going to need, of course. Basically had a couple of bandages, different bandage sizes, a range of plasters, some non-stick wound dressings, pair of tweezers, steri strips, didn't need those, happily. Also a little kind of little sewing kit that you get at a hotel or something that's got a couple of bits of thread and a needle. We use that quite a bit to repair things and whatnot. And that's about it.
Yeah.
Did have to restock a few plasters and bits and pieces along the way.
Did you have one of these as well?
Yep.
We both had a emergency, what do you call these?
Survival blankets.
We never used them, but we took them
Gotta
and
have
we'd
them.
take them again, just in case you come across someone who needs one or we need one. There is some things I didn't really use. I took some bed balm. Honestly, a waste of time. Took my bed comb, waste of time, because you just, who cares? You know, even when you're on a rest day, who really cares? I got rough. Took earplugs, I used them once.
I used them once as well.
Yeah, so were
but
earplugs
you
worth
could have
it?
used them more often in the huts and things like
I
that.
took these eye things, you know, to stop the sunlight. Waste of time.
Well,
You
when we were
wore
in the
yours.
tent on really moonlight nights, it was incredibly bright, so
Yeah.
we did actually use them a couple of times.
Took these things for my glasses, you know, stop your glasses falling off your head. Man, if I didn't have those, I would have lost my glasses when we canned out of the canoe on the Whanganui River. So that's what they were for on the river. Invaluable. They saved a lot of money because, yeah, we canned out of the canoe.
Other randoms, I had a little bag that's got a few patches and things for the tent, for rips and for the earbuds, things like that. A notebook, a little pen, some tenacious tape for various repairs. So a few random items like that.
What about our shopping
The
bag?
finished.
Oh, okay.
One thing we used a lot of, not this particular tape, but was brown tape. So we didn't get a lot of plasters, but we did a lot of preventative taping on heels, on toes, on bits and pieces. We also used it to repair things and to put patches and things. And brown tape I would recommend as a very important necessity. We had carried a very small, lightweight, this is a Woolworths bag.
Weighs nothing.
Weighs very little, but is used for all sorts of things, like shopping, like taking your washing to the laundromat, like if you need to go all the way down to the river to do to have your wash, you might carry your change of clothes down there. All sorts of things we used it for. It was very, very useful, very practical, and folds up and weighs nothing. This was my toiletries bag. Minimal toiletries we had some muscle creams that we used, arnica creams.
That glide stuff.
We used occasionally a kind of a barrier cream called Glide, which was for chafing, and for a while we were using it on our feet, but I don't know that it really helped with the blisters.
Yeah.
I had a factor 50 sunscreen for my face and a factor 50 body sunscreen, and that's about it.
That's about it.
Toothpaste, toothbrush.
Yeah. And we just
Very, very minimal routine.
Yeah. The simplicity of everything was great. We did have a different, another little wee lightweight bag for carrying stuff, but it started getting ripped up. So we ended up buying one of these somewhere in the South Island. So again, it's an Ultrasil Cedar Summit. You got to go Ultrasil because or other brands that are like it, because it's just really light, but it's a fully waterproof bag. And the beauty is, you go into the supermarket and fill it up, and then you got a handle to carry stuff back, and then we'd slowly work out where to put it all.
The other thing that people used these quite a lot for, if that was their food bag, as opposed to those smelly proof one, is to hang that up
on a
nail in the hut to keep it away from mice.
Yeah.
As well. So that's what people did.
So I think we're getting near the end, eh? Is that it? Of gear. Okay.
And so in summary, you definitely could prune off some weight off what we did, but we were not ultra light.
No, we weren't.
We were probably in the middle there somewhere, and I mean, every now and then you'd pick up a little bit of extra weight because you're carrying something from town or whatever.
Yeah.
So we were not die-hard ultralighters, but definitely at the lighter end of people that we saw.
I think we were in general. So we weighed everything before we started, and things slowly changed a little bit. But Vivian's base layer, and that does not include the weight, base weight, I mean, but does not include the weight of an empty drink bottles. I didn't think about that at the time. And they changed. We had different kind of drink bottles at times. Was about, was it 6 or 6.5, 7, something like that, kilos.
Yeah.
It was quite light. And that's the beauty of sharing. Like, I took all the cooking gear, Vivian took the bowls, but I took the tent and she took the peg. So we saved quite a bit of weight by not having a tent each, not having a cooking system each. We shared, and that I think helped us. My base weight without the fishing gear, I think, was just over 8 kilos, and probably got up a bit because I ended up getting another pair of underpants and I don't know, that extra battery. So we probably ended up being a base weight of 8.5 minimum. But we got there.
So even on our heaviest carries, if you like, when we're doing a longer stretch and we're full of food, the packs coped all right with those weights,
and
we coped all right with the weights.
Yeah, you definitely noticed the first day, but even after the first day, it was remarkably lighter. And I think part of that is when you have a rest day, the next day psychologically and physically a bit harder because you've got to get back into it again. Is that right? We find it sometimes mentally a harder day after a 0 day. That's us signing out on our gear video, which will probably become gear videos